All right, so hopefully this echo doesn't last. But once again, we're going to be looking at all of this stuff that's on the screen. So let's go ahead and get this going. Again, fill in your blanks as you are watching.
Check it. Water comes rushing through the pipes and out the tap. Or you could buy a bottle for $1.50. So easy to get here in the USA. We don't blink if it doesn't rain for days. But there's places worldwide where water will save lives and drought means people die. Covers most of the globe like it's all I see. Go for 4 days without it and it's R.I.P. Little heat from the sun is all it takes to evaporate oceans, puddles, ponds, and lakes. Water evaporates, turns to vapor. It rises through the air like, see y'all later. In the upper atmosphere, the air is cold, so the gas turns back into liquid fast. That's condensation, and it causes clouds. I don't get it. Why don't clouds fall down? Because clouds are made of tiny water drops. As warm air rises, it keeps the clouds aloft. It stops the drops from falling down. But if they freeze, they get on the ground. Because when clouds get thicker and bigger, that triggers large drops to fall like timber. That's precipitation, and it might be rain, it might be hail or snow if it's very cold.
3 layers of life, I'll make it clear. The one we live on, that's the lithosphere. The one with the water is the hydrosphere. The gas in the air is the atmosphere. 3 layers of life, I'll make it clear. The one we live on, that's the lithosphere. The one with the water is the hydrosphere. The gas in the air is the atmosphere.
I have a question. Why do we have air we can breathe here? Why doesn't air just float away into space? Well, air is something that you can't see, but like you or me, it's held down by gravity. Held down like wrestlers when they're not on top. I've changed the air pressure, make your ears go pop. It's thicker near the bottom and it's thin up top, like a dude with fat legs and a big bald spot. We measure this barometric pressure with a barometer, like we measure heat with a thermometer. Now, the bottom layer is the troposphere. It contains 90% of the air. The stratosphere above that contains the ozone layer. Protects us from those harmful rays. Mesosphere is so cold, the air is so thin. Thermosphere's above that, and that's the end. I'm surprised, sunrise, here comes the sun. Bringing heat with that radiation. It brings heat and energy to defeat its enemies. Makes your car hot and heats the air. That makes the air move oh so much better. This is a convection current, it creates weather. Cold front come and get your Dairy Queen blizzard. Which hurricane, thunderstorm, or cyclone is
3 layers of life, I'll make it clear. The one we live on, that's the lithosphere. The one with the water is the hydrosphere. The gas in the air is the atmosphere. 3 layers of life, I'll make it clear. The one we live on, that's the lithosphere. The one with the water is the hydrosphere. The gas in the air is the atmosphere. 3 layers of life, I'll make it clear. The one we live on, that's the lithosphere. The one with the water is the hydrosphere. The gas in the air is the atmosphere. 3 layers of life, I'll make it clear. The one we live on, that's the lithosphere. The one with the water is the hydrosphere. The gas in the air is the atmosphere.
All right, so like I said, a lot of this was review. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at some information here and make sure you got the right blanks filled in. You should have actually been able to fill some of these in on your own without even looking at the song, but the song does give you some visuals and give you a little bit of beat to it. So let's look at the first verse. I'll tell you when to stop. Go ahead and read that for us, Michaela. Loud, loud, loud. Why you not rapping it? Why you not rapping it? If you want to. All right. What's the blank? And droughts. Keep going. Keep going. Stop. What is it? What does it mean? Go 4 days without it, and it's RIP. Without water, you die. All right. Picking up from after. Actually, start at a little heat. Go ahead, Terrell. Huh? Start with where she's after RIP. Good. Stop. Everyone caught up? You should be able to know after in the upper atmosphere, so the blank turns back to blank fast. What's that? The gas turns back to liquid fast. Gas turning into a liquid is what? Condensation. So that's the next one. Then they said, I don't get why do the clouds fall down. Yashana, pick us up from there. Aloft. That means up. Timber. Stop right there. What does that come from? It says trigger large drops to fall like timber. When people cut trees down, say timber. All right, keep going. That's hail. All of these verses are giving you some very key information from what we already discussed about what? All of this is the what? The water cycle. So that's our review. Go move on from there, Elijah. We're right here. 3 layers.
3 layers of life. I'll make it clear. The one we live on, that's the lithosphere. The one with the water is the hydrosphere. The gas and air is the atmosphere.
Very good. Let's move on from there, Madison. Good. Stop right there for a moment. Everyone good? All right, so Varsity, pick up from we measure. I know, we'll pick up from here. With the barometer, what do we measure? Barometric pressure. Continue. What do we measure heat with? Thermometer, and it rhymes. You didn't need to see that to fill that in. Keep going. You were finished reading it. I did a whole rap song about it. The layer that we live on. No, that's the 3 spheres of the entire world, but the layer of the atmospheric layers. What layer do we live on, everybody? Troposphere is the bottom layer. Troposphere where we've been. All right, pick it up from there, Miracle. It contains 99%. 90%. What layer contains the ozone layer? Thank you. All of this is review. So the stratosphere above contains the ozone layer. Keep going. What gets so cold? What layer is so cold? Mesosphere is so cold. The air is so thin. Right? What's above the mesosphere, Miracle? This is review. Keelan, get up. Help us out. Thermosphere. If you don't know this by now off the top of your head because we did it, then you better be doing some extra work at home by studying because you do have a midterm. And this will be on it when you come back. Thermosphere above that, and that's the end. Surprise sunrise. Here comes the sun, bringing heat with that radiation. That's review as well. It brings heat and energy to defeat its enemies, makes your car hot and heats the air. That makes the air move such much better. This is the convection current. It creates weather. All review. We drew pictures on it. Moving on to where we are now. Blank is coming. Cold front coming. Get your Dairy Queen blizzard, which hurricanes, thunderstorms, or cyclone is it? And we'll be talking about cyclones tomorrow. And then it just goes back over the 3 layers. Any questions on that? All right, then let's go ahead and put your note sheet in front of you on the right on the back of that. It's called In the Clouds. And you may actually have some time to start your homework. I've already said that you have homework today. And I'm going to want to go over your project, so I can't forget to do that also. All right, give me a second. Everything is in the grade book. I said that in the beginning of class. All right, like I said, in front of you have a sheet that looks like this. This first picture is actually describing how clouds form. Someone give me in your own words, how do clouds form based on that picture? Take a moment and just look at that picture. And in pencil, on the right-hand side over here, jot down your description of how clouds form. Now, remember in the very beginning, before we went on break, we used the weather vane when we went outside, and we talked about the different tools that people use, that meteorologists use to measure the weather. But then we also said, remember, those are advanced technologies. Before those technologies were there, what did they use? Before they had a barometer, a weather vane, a wind vane, what did they use? What did they do? They went out and what? They did what? How did they say, okay, today it's going to be sunny, or today it's going to rain, or tomorrow it might rain? What did they do? They looked in the sky and they looked at the what? The clouds. If there were clouds out there, then they assumed that it's going to do what? Rain. If there were no clouds, they assumed that it's going to be sunny or a nice day without any rain. So it's all in the clouds. This is where this information comes from. So this is why we need to be able to study the clouds and understand how the advancement of technology took place. So now that you've looked at this information here on the left side and you kind of made a description of it, tell me, what is this saying? How do clouds form?
Water evaporate, water molecules form into clouds.
What kind of molecules? What kind of water molecules? What kind of H2O molecules? Warm. So you have warm, humid, good. Air rises. And that's showing here. This warm water, that's going to rise. What is that called? Evaporation. So it evaporates into the air. It's going to be warm and it's going to be humid. Humid means that it's going to be moist. It is evaporation within the air. And then it cools to a dew point. And we've talked about dew point before. Dew point means the point that at which it's a little bit more heavier than the air. What are clouds in the water cycle? What are they called? How do they form? Besides what we're putting here, what part of the water cycle describes clouds? Condensation. Then it condenses. Let's put capturing, not encountering. Capturing what based on this picture? Dust particles, good. And we'll put which become visible. And that's how cloud forms. It's dust and warm, humid water in the air. Now notice on your sheet here, it tells us cloud types are below here, but it's going to put them according to altitude. Altitude means what? The highest. So if you look here, this is increasing in altitude. So based on this information, which one is the highest type of cloud? Cirrus. Which one is the lowest cloud? Use your vowels. That's not Columbus. Cumulus. All right, all of these words, the types of clouds, they come from Latin words. I talked to you in 8th grade and also in the beginning of this year and said a lot of our vocabulary comes from Latin and Greek. So the description of these clouds come from Latin words. This is why their names are what they are called. So the Latin names actually help us to understand the type of clouds that they are. So for instance, cirrus means curled. Curled. Yeah. So these are the highest. So describing them, they're the highest clouds. And they're your wispy ice clouds. They're the ice clouds because they're where? They're the highest. So they're your clouds that kind of form like that. So if we look down, and these look like what? They don't use the cloud. It's not citrus. These look like what? What's the Latin word? They look like curls. Curls. So if you think of a little girl with a curly hair, her hair would be curly like that. So when you look down at the picture, looking at these clouds, think of these clouds as the air curling, the dust. Now alto, if you've ever been in a choir, you have How many of you have ever been sung in a choir at church? Okay, what are the levels of singing? You got your sopranos. I know. That's the highest. You got your tenors. Tenors. The middle voice is called the what? The altos. And alto means middle. No, sir. Not in the middle of a lecture. Alto means middle. Or not highest. They're the middle, they're not the highest. Not necessarily. So you can have clouds that are altocumulus clouds. These are the clouds that just kind of float along the sky. You see them. They kind of look like rapid waters along the sky. And I'm just going to pull up a picture for you to see. If I can get a picture here. And this will be your Altocumulus Clouds. So they kind of look like little waves within the Alrighty. So now moving on to our next type that we have here, we have the Stratus Clouds, and a lot of you are very familiar with the Stratus Clouds. The Latin word means spread out. These are your low to medium highest clouds. And actually they're your low to medium highest gray clouds. So if we look at the picture here, they just kind of, these would be the ones where definitely you're going to get some rain, because this is when your sky just looks gray. And those are actually the spread out clouds that are making your sky look gray. And the weather indication, like I said, this is when you're going to get the rain. This would be overcast. Overcast means that you're going to get some precipitation. So this is the overcast sky. So I say, I need you to stop talking out. Which results in some drizzle and fog. The days where it's very foggy outside, today may be one of those days. Cumulus, that word means heap. Heap means a lot, very heavy. And if you look at the cumulus clouds here, you have like it looks like these are your cotton looking clouds. So these are the most ones, like when you're drawing a picture, when little kids draw pictures, most likely they draw these big clouds like that. These are your cumulus clouds, and they're low. And they're your fluffy white clouds. And even when you have these clouds, this does not necessarily mean that it's going to rain, because you can have these type of clouds and it be very sunny outside as well. But these are the clouds that will cover the sun and make it shady for the moment, and then the clouds move and the sun comes back out. Nimbus clouds, this means rain. So when you have your nimbus clouds, that's actually when it's going to rain, for sure. show you another picture of a Nimbus Cloud. Your Nimbus Cloud can actually almost look like your Cumulus Clouds. Put that on the screen. So again, it kind of looks like your Cumulus Clouds, but these the Nimbus actually means rain. And these are going to be your large gray rain clouds. Now, in addition to this information, Elijah and Terrell, in addition to this information, there is also some information on my website which talks a little bit more about clouds, and I'm going to scroll down there. Here's some additional cloud notes. One second, Miracle. And you will be responsible for looking at this information. This is the information that you're going to be using for your homework. Put this here. So here it talks about, because you don't just have these four, cirrus, alto, stratus, cumulus, and nimbus type clouds. They also come in some combination. So if you look at, you have the cirrocumulus, you also have the cirrostratus, and the cirrus, under the cirrus clouds. Looking further, you have the altostratus and the altocumulus, and then moving further, you have a variation of the clouds. So this information is going to be necessary for your homework. So in Canvas, there are 6 questions. It's called Cloudy Thinking. In a moment, you're going to be logging into there to get started on that. But there's 6 questions. These questions are going to, your answers are going to derive from what we just talked about in class for how clouds form and the types of clouds. In addition to that, you're going to also need to use your additional cloud notes, which is on my website, and there's also a link in Canvas for there. So that's that. Now I want you to go ahead and put your project in front of you. And I'm just going to put it on the screen a little bit better. Now, each day for the project, you have to be doing something. If you skip a day, then you're going to have to find out a way to get the information from the day before, because this is not something that you can jump ahead. It's also not something that you could really get behind on, because it's going to require some daily information. This project is going to be end on the 14th, which is the week of our last week before break, but it's going to end on that day where we're going to be putting information in. But every day you have to be doing something at home. So we're going to just label out some information here so that I keep you on track, so that you know what you have to be doing on each day. Also on my website under the homework, it does tell you what you need to be doing for that day for the project. So just looking at it for a moment. During the project, you will observe the weather every day for 2 weeks. The background information is day 1, 2, and 3. For the day 1, 2, and 3, you're going to document the clouds and weather in your area. You're also going to draw a small picture of the clouds in the chart. Once day 3 is over, then you're going to be answering the questions below. So I will tell you when you answer those questions. So for the first day, that's today's date. Go ahead and put today's date in there. which is the 30th. So in addition to doing your assignment on Canvas called Cloudy Thinking, also on day one, the only thing that you need to do for the project is at the time that you observe it. You're going to put down that time. You're then going to put down the type of cloud you observed based on our notes. You're going to name that cloud. Then you're also going to draw it, and then you're going to write the weather that is observed. Any questions for that? No? All right, then go ahead and get your computers out so you can get logged in and get started on your homework.